It's a music genre that for many people has music almost like an afterthought. It's a schizophrenic musical proposition that in its ranks includes bands as diverse as Cradle of Filth and London After Midnight. This is Gothic rock. Goth was always a very open music style, and Goths many times liked artists outside the scene as long as they satisfied some basic criteria like that of playing dark and gloomy music. Since early on, they adopted the psychobilly of the Cramps, the punk blues of the Gun Club, or the anarcho-punk of TSOL and Rudimentary Penny as their own. During the 1980s, a parallel style developed known as dark wave, or ethereal wave, which had a more neutral image, a softer sound, and incorporated electronic elements while retaining the dark and mysterious lyrical content. Bands like the Cocteau Twins from Scotland, Clan of Zymox from the Netherlands, Ozzy's Dead Can Dance after their first album, and Londoners' This Mortal Coil and the legendary Pink Dots were the leaders of this new style, so much so that they are considered by many as being a part of the goth scene. During the 90s, the style continued with some excellent American bands like Leisha from Tempe, Arizona, Californians, Black Tape for a Blue Girl, Switchblade Symphony, and Love Spirals Downwards, and Faith and the Muse from Virginia. We also had Miranda Sex Garden from London, The Frozen Autumn from Italy, Dana Lakine from Germany. But in general, the style continued to be very close to the original 80s stuff. Things started to diverge greatly following two main directions driven by two great scenes of the time, electronic and heavy metal at the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s. Up until 1986, Depeche Mode was a well-respected and successful synth-pop band from the Greater London area and nothing more. But on the 17th of March of that year, they released Black Celebration, which employed darker lyrical themes and slower tempos, and the Goths noticed. They continued on that style in their next three albums, so by the beginning of the 90s, they had a very loyal following among goth fans. And it seemed that it all sparked a huge increase of interest from the goth milieu to all things dark and electronic. So styles that music pundits named electronic body music, or EBM, electro-industrial, dark electro, or agritech, became full part of the whole gothic scene. Bands like Scandinavians, Apoptygma Berserk, Covenant and Combichrist, Londoners, VNV Nation, Americans My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult and Velvet Acid Christ, Canadians, Frontline Assembly, Mexicans, Hosico, Belgians, Suicide Commando, Germans, Wumpscut, Grendel from the Netherlands, and many, many more became the soundtrack of many goth clubs during the 90s and the noughties. And while the dark wave scene was very close to the original gothic rock, the same cannot be said for this one. It was basically very aggressive techno with distorted or baritone vocals and dark, morbid or nihilistic lyrics. I cry out loud, but you hear nothing. Let your blood flow, get your body beats. Let your blood. On the other side of the spectrum, there was metal. During the 80s, the two scenes had very few things in common. But again in the beginning of the 90s, this changed when three death doom metal bands from the north of England started inserting Gothic influences to their slow and gloomy metal style. These bands were Paradise Lost and My Dying Bride from Halifax, maybe not surprisingly part of the Greater Leeds area, and Anathema from Liverpool. While on the other side of the Atlantic, in New York City, a band which was created from the ashes of a notorious crossover thrash group, named Type O Negative in 1993, released two singles which sounded like an exaggerated metal version of the Sisters of Mercy.
I'm still here, and I still cry on your back on knees. No.
People took notice, and soon a name was found: Gothic metal. As by that time, classic thrash and heavy metal were on the downside. This new style was thought as a valid alternative for heavy rock fans who didn't like grunge, and soon new bands started to appear. Tiamat, Lake of Tears and Catatonia from Sweden, Moonspell from Portugal, Savior Machine from the US, Lacrimosa from Germany, who initially had a lighter, closer to post-punk style, The Gathering from the Netherlands, and Theatre of Tragedy from Stavanger, Norway.
Sweet, so very sweet.
Opium, desire to will.
Is strange machine.
These last two bands were the ones who invented the Beauty and the Beast vocal style, The Gathering only on their first album. In this style, growling death metal male vocals were combined with lighter melodic female vocals. The style soon became popular with both Gothic and metal audiences, and so other bands started using it. Bands like Fellow Dutch After Forever, Tristania, and Sins of Thy Beloved, also from Norway, and initially Lacuna Coil from Italy. Soon it became a common trait of Gothic metal bands to use female vocalists, as well as influences from classical music, and soon their style evolved to create the symphonic metal genre, which in the noughties found great success with bands like the aforementioned Lacuna Coil, Within Temptation, and Epica from the Netherlands, and Nightwish from Finland. As with the electronic scene, symphonic metal had almost nothing in common sonically with the Gothic rock of the 80s, but still the label Gothic stuck to a lot of these bands, which through the years participated in various Gothic festivals all over the world.
Feel first, but I'm still here, alone as they are drawing near. Cries loud for justice.
In general, around the turn of the century, Gothic metal became really prominent on both sides of the spectrum. From the metal side, we had a thrash metal band like Creator or a black metal band like Rotting Christ, making perfectly acceptable Gothic metal albums, while from the other side, the Gothic sensibilities of a band like Cradle of Filth made them a respectable part of the goth scene, despite in essence being nothing more than a melodic/symphonic black metal band. In my opinion, the main reason why these two new currents thrived during this time is the fact that the traditional Gothic bands were basically absent, having either disbanded, gone on hiatus, or changed their musical style. But as you've probably noticed, most of the electronic and metal bands were European, so these new styles became successful in the goth scenes of Europe and Latin America. In the US, only Type O Negative achieved some level of commercial success. Yet the goth subculture was very prominent there, independently or as a part of the whole alternative music current. As a result of all this, the musical taste of American goth kids, as the decade progressed, was all over the place. The success of Marilyn Manson and the supposed gothiness of a part of his musical style led to industrial or industrial metal bands like Nine Inch Nails, Rammstein, Ministry, Static X, or White/Rob Zombie become very successful among American goths. On the other hand, the Gothic metal elements in the music of Evanescence and the image of a band like Coal Chamber made new metal and artists like Korn, Slipknot, Kitty, Mudvayne, Dope, or Orgy very appealing to these same goths. The collective, rather pejorative term for all the fans who dressed goth and listened to all these bands was mall goth because they supposedly mostly hung out in malls. After these styles subsided during the 2000s, these same goths were the basis for the emo craze as expressed by bands like My Chemical Romance, Panic at the Disco, or Paramore. But that was not all. There was one additional genre put under the all-encompassing goth tag at the end of the 90s and the beginning of the noughties. It was called Gothic country, a style combining early jazz, gospel, and Americana influences with the traditional Gothic rock and post-punk of the 80s. In the beginning, it was almost single-handedly represented by the band 16 Horsepower from Los Angeles, to which they were later added Reverend Glasseye and his Wooden Legs from Boston, Lonesome Wyatt and the Holy Spooks, and Those Poor Bastards from Madison, Wisconsin, as well as the early releases from a certain TJ Cowgill, aka King Dude. This style was definitely closer to the original goth rock style, if not in sound, at least in spirit.
My eyes are your sister, and my heart.
Don't boy, you done wrong.
About what right to you good?
Tell me what's that song? Lucifer's the sun. Lucifer's the son of the world.
Plan this mindset, maybe it's right at the right place and right time, maybe tonight.
During the 2000s, many new bands appeared that were playing a more stripped-down and back-to-basics guitar rock inspired by the original sound and aesthetics of garage rock and post-punk. These bands were placed under the collective umbrella term post-punk revival. As with the original post-punk, sonically, it was a little all over the place, but also as with the original, there was a darker part mostly expressed by bands like the Joy Division-influenced Editors, A Place to Bury Strangers, The Horrors, at least in their first album, She Wants Revenge, White Lies, and later, Savages. The success of this revival style brought the original goth post-punk bands to the forefront and led to the creation in the 2010s and 2020s of a new back-to-the-roots current in the whole gothic rock/dark wave scene, which attained a respectable level of success and recognition. This new old current has as major representatives Chelsea Wolfe from Sacramento, the aforementioned King Dude from Seattle, Drab Majesty from Los Angeles, Prayers from San Diego, Lebanon Hanover from Sunderland, UK, She Passed Away from Bursa, Turkey, Twin Tribes from Texas, Fontaines DC from Dublin, Ireland, Keelan Mikla from Reykjavik, Iceland, Beast Milk/Grave Pleasures from Helsinki, Finland, Wailing Storms from Durham, North Carolina, Crippling Alcoholism from Boston, Sunrise Patriot Motion from Beacon, New York, VRSEX from Los Angeles, Buenos Vampiros from Mar del Plata, Argentina, the more gothic metal tinged unto others from Portland, Oregon, and Death Rockers, Poison Ruin from Philadelphia. All these artists are the exact opposite of what we had during the 90s and the noughties, as they have toned down the classic goth image, but sonically, they're a perfect continuation of the traditional goth sound of the 80s.
Did we travel all this way? Just
Rosemary's gonna suicide on the gallows.
Ain't Gothic is the summer. Ain't Gothic is the summer.
Despite the ups and downs, tales and tribulations, misunderstandings and misconceptions, as well as its inherent gloominess, it seems like after more than 45 years of being around, the style of Gothic rock has a bright future after all.